What if everything you've been interpreting as distance, as detachment, as not enough, was actually love in its purest, most primal form? Let that sink in for a moment. The divine masculine doesn't love like you do. He doesn't weave sonnets from his longing or paint his devotion across the sky for all to see. His love is quieter, deeper, more tectonic. It moves not in words, but in the invisible currents beneath the surface, the ones that shift continents over millennia without a single sound. And yet, here you are, driving yourself mad, trying to measure his heart by the metric of your own. We've been conditioned to believe love must be loud to be real. That if it doesn't ache, if it doesn't beg, if it doesn't perform, then surely it must be fading. But what if the divine masculine's love isn't fading at all? What if it's simply evolving in a language you haven't yet learned to speak? Consider this. The deepest parts of the ocean never see sunlight, yet they teem with life. The roots of ancient trees don't flower, yet they feed entire forests. Some of the most vital forces in nature refuse to be witnessed directly. Why should his love be any different? This isn't about making excuses for mixed signals or breadcrumbs. This is about recognizing that the divine masculine's love operates on a frequency most of us weren't taught to detect. It's in the way he doesn't walk away when things get hard, the way he remembers the song you hummed once 6 months ago, the way your body still relaxes when he enters a room, even after everything. These aren't accidents, they're hieroglyphs, a sacred script written in the quietest gestures, waiting for you to decipher them. So before you convince yourself his silence means absence, or his stillness means indifference, ask yourself this. What if you've been misunderstanding him all along? You ever notice how the divine masculine doesn't just say he loves you, he builds it? Like some kind of cosmic architect, his love isn't scribbled in love letters, but laid brick by brick in the quiet, steady ways he shows up. While the divine feminine pours her heart out in poetry and midnight confessions, his love is the unshakable foundation beneath your feet. It's not that he feels less. Oh no, darling. He feels everything. But his love isn't a wildfire. It's the deep roots of an ancient oak, unmoved by storms, because his devotion isn't about words. It's about being the shelter. Think about it. When has he ever abandoned you in a crisis? Even in separation, even when he's running, even when he's silent, somehow, someway, he still arranges things. A job offer appears when you're broke. A stranger says the exact thing you needed to hear. Your car breaks down, and miraculously, a friend just happens to be driving by. Coincidence? Please, that's the divine masculine's love language, orchestrating safety from the shadows. He doesn't need applause for it. In fact, he'd probably shrug and say, just doing what I'm supposed to do. But here's the mystery. Why does he equate love with duty? Because to him, love isn't just a feeling. It's a sacred contract, a vow written in the bones, not the breath. He doesn't love you because it's easy. He loves you because something in his soul recognizes that this is his purpose. And purpose for the DM isn't some fluffy spiritual concept. It's as real as gravity. So when he withdraws, when he's distant, when he seems cold, ask yourself, is he retreating or is he recalibrating? Because a man who loves like this doesn't walk away lightly. He's just making sure that when he stands beside you, He's unbreakable. And yet, here's the kicker. He'll never admit any of this, not outright. He'll show you in the way he remembers how you take your coffee, in the way he steps between you and danger, even the emotional kind, in the way he doesn't walk away when things get messy. His love isn't performative. It's functional, practical, eternal, and honestly, a little infuriating. Because while you're over here dissecting his texts for hidden meanings, he's already fixed the leak in your roof without mentioning it. So the next time you wonder if he cares, stop listening for words. Start watching for the architecture of his love, the way the universe conspires to catch you when you fall, the way he's always there, not always in the way you want, but in the way you need. And maybe, just maybe, that's the whole point. Want to know the secret sign that he's silently committed to you for life? Keep reading. This next one will hit you like a lightning bolt. You ever watch a tree grow? No, really? Have you ever sat there and watched a tree actually grow? Of course not, because real growth doesn't announce itself with fanfare. It happens in the quiet, in the dark, in the unseen places where roots dig deeper and branches stretch wider without making a sound. That's how the divine masculine surrenders to twin flame love, not with tears, not with grand proclamations, but with a shift so subtle you might miss it if you're not paying attention. While the divine feminine surrender might look like a storm, wild, emotional, a whirlwind of epiphanies and midnight revelations, his surrender is the earth beneath that storm. Solid, unmoving, unseen. He doesn't post about it on social media. He doesn't call his friends to gush. Hell, he might not even tell you directly, but one day, you'll notice it. The way he looks at you differently, like he's seeing you for the first time. The way his walls aren't so high anymore. The way he stops running and just stays. And here's the thing. That silence, that's not resistance. That's integration. The divine masculine doesn't process love out loud. He metabolizes it in the quiet chambers of his soul, turning it over like a sacred stone until he understands it, until it becomes part of him. And when he finally surrenders, it's not with a dramatic confession. It's in the way he starts showing up, consistently, without explanation. The way he stops fighting what he knows is inevitable. The way he lets you in, not because you demanded it, but because he chose it. So if you're waiting for some big cinematic moment where he drops to his knees and declares his undying love, well, sweetheart, you might be waiting a while. His surrender won't look like a movie scene. It'll look like him picking up the phone after months of silence. It'll look like him remembering the little things you thought he'd forgotten. It'll look like him choosing you day after day in ways so quiet you almost miss them. But here's the secret. Those quiet choices, they're the ones that last. Think he's not surrendering? Wait until you hear what's really going on in his silence. The next sign will change everything. Let's talk about why he keeps throwing curveballs when all you want is a straight line. You think it's mixed signals? Fear? Games? Oh, sweet soul. No. This is the divine masculine's ancient, unconscious ritual, his way of asking the universe one burning question. Is this love real, or just another beautiful illusion? See, the divine masculine doesn't trust words. He barely trusts his own feelings, but he does trust physics, the immutable law that what's unshakable won't break under pressure. So he creates tension. He pulls away just to see if you'll still be there. He lets life throw obstacles between you, not to hurt you, but to test the tensile strength of this bond. It's not cruelty, it's alchemy. He's turning your connection over the fire to see what burns away and what remains gold. Ever watch a blacksmith work? The metal doesn't become a sword by being coddled. It's heated, hammered, plunged into ice repeatedly until it's unbreakable. That's what he's doing. Not because he enjoys the drama, though let's be honest, sometimes it really feels that way, but because he needs to know. Is this love strong enough to survive the real world? Or is it just a fantasy that crumples at the first gust of wind? And here's the kicker, he doesn't even realize he's doing it. This isn't some Machiavellian plot. It's instinct, primal, like a wolf testing the ice before stepping onto the frozen lake. He's probing the edges of your connection, searching for weak spots. Because if he's going to surrender, truly surrender, he needs to know the ground beneath him won't vanish when the storm hits. So when he ghosts for 3 weeks, only to reappear with some vague text about needing space, or when he suddenly gets busy right as you're getting close, or when he picks a fight over something trivial, breathe. This isn't rejection. This is sacred geometry. He's measuring the distance between your souls to see if the bridge can hold his weight. The question is, will you pass the test? Not by chasing, not by pleading, but by standing so firmly in your own truth that his chaos can't move you. That's when he'll stop testing. That's when he'll know. And when he does, oh darling, the next sign will show you exactly how deep his certainty runs. You know how the most important parts of a song aren't always the lyrics, but the silences between the notes. That's where the magic lives, in the breath before the chorus, in the hush between heartbeats. And darling, that's where the divine masculine loves you. Not in the grand declarations or the dramatic reunions, but in the quiet, almost missed moments that slip through your fingers like sunlight. Think about it. When was the last time he said he loved you? Maybe never. But when was the last time he showed you? Oh, it was there, in the way he texted you that article you'd mentioned offhand 3 weeks ago. In the way he stood just a little too close in the kitchen, his shoulder brushing yours like an unspoken promise. In the way he remembered your coffee order exactly, even though you only told him once, 6 months ago, when he was half asleep. These aren't accidents. These are love letters written in invisible ink, only visible when you tilt the page just right. The divine feminine wants fireworks. The divine masculine gives you embers, slow, steady, glowing long after the spectacle has faded. He won't write you poetry. He'll fix your Wi-Fi at midnight when you're on deadline. He won't plan a candlelit dinner. He'll leave the last slice of pizza for you every single time, even though it's his favorite too. His love isn't a spotlight. It's the ambient light you only notice when it's gone. And here's the secret. He doesn't even realize he's doing it. To him, these aren't gestures. They're reflexes, like breathing, like blinking, like the way his body turns towards you in sleep, an unconscious homing beacon. That's why it's so easy to miss, because to him, Loving you isn't an action. It's a state of being. So stop listening for the words. Start watching for the patterns. The way he always calls when he knows you're driving late at night. The way he saves your laugh in the pocket of his silence. The way he loves you in a language so quiet, you have to lean in to hear it. And when you finally learn to read him, oh, sweet soul, the next sign will show you just how loudly silence can speak. You ever watch a seed split open underground? No fanfare, no applause, just the silent, inevitable crack of something coming alive because it has to, because the blueprint says now. That's how the divine masculine awakens to twin flame love, not through weeping confessions or midnight epiphanies, though those might come later, but through the slow tectonic shift of purpose rearranging his bones. Here's the thing about him. He doesn't trust feelings. Oh, he has them, deep, roaring rivers of them, but he's spent a lifetime building dams. What he does trust, motion, direction, the kind of clarity that comes not from the heart, but from the marrow. So when the twin flame connection hits, it doesn't flood him like it does you. It unfolds him, layer by layer, like a map he's been carrying in his pocket for decades, suddenly making sense. You've seen it before, that moment when he's mid-sentence, talking about his work or his dreams, and his voice changes, gets quieter, more certain. That's the sound of a man brushing up against his destiny. And here's the secret. You're part of that equation. Not because he's love-struck, though he might be, but because something in your presence magnifies his truth. Like a tuning fork struck against the universe, you help him hear his own frequency. This is why he might run when things get too emotional, but come back when they get real. Why he'll hesitate to say, I love you, but build a business, a home, a life that aligns with yours. His love isn't measured in kisses, it's measured in choices, in the way he starts showing up in the world differently, more boldly, more himself, because your connection has reminded him who he was always meant to be. So if you're waiting for him to wake up through tears and poetry, sweet soul, you might be waiting a while. His awakening comes through doing, through creating, through the quiet realization that the path he's walking somehow keeps leading back to you, not as a detour, but as destination. And when he finally connects those dots, oh darling, the last sign will show you why his love was worth every step of the journey. You know how the moon doesn't disappear when the sun rises? It's still there, whole, constant, orbiting faithfully, just waiting for its turn to glow again. That's the divine masculine's love, silent, sometimes, distant, sure, gone, never. Not really, not in the way that matters. Here's the raw, aching truth. When he retreats, when the texts slow, when the energy shifts, when he becomes a ghost in your life, it hurts. Oh, darling, of course it does. But absence isn't abandonment. Silence isn't surrender. His love doesn't operate on your timeline, or mine, or even his own. It moves to the rhythm of something older, the kind of love that survives centuries, lifetimes, the rise and fall of civilizations. The kind that doesn't need constant reassurance because it knows. Think of the deepest part of the ocean. The pressure there could crush steel, yet life thrives in the darkness. That's where his love lives, in the uncharted depths where words can't reach. He might forget to call. He might get lost in his purpose. He might need to wander until he remembers his way home. But here's what you must understand. He always remembers. Maybe not when you want him to. Maybe not in the way you expect. But the divine masculine doesn't love in halves. He can't. So when the silence stretches thin and your mind starts spinning stories about how he's moved on, how he never cared, how you imagined the whole thing, stop, breathe. Remember the way he looked at you when he thought you weren't watching, the way his voice softened when he said your name, the way the universe conspired to bring you together in the first place. That doesn't vanish because he's quiet. If anything, it grows heavier, richer, deeper, more inevitable, the longer it's left alone. This isn't about waiting. This is about knowing, about recognizing that some loves are too vast to fit into daily texts and date nights, that his absence isn't a rejection, it's the universe's way of stretching him, shaping him, preparing him to love you the way you both deserve. And when he returns, oh, sweet soul, it won't be with fanfare or apologies. It'll be with the quiet certainty of a man who's finally ready to stand in the fire, not because it's easy, but because he's realized there's no other place worth burning for. And when that day comes, you'll wonder why you ever doubted. But that's a story for another time. You know how the most profound truths are often the ones we can't quite put into words? Like the way dawn doesn't announce itself with a shout, but with a slow, certain light that changes everything without making a sound. That's the divine masculine's love, an unspoken symphony playing in the background of your life, even when you can't hear the music. This journey isn't about decoding his silence. It's about learning to trust the rhythm of something far older than either of you. The divine masculine doesn't love in the way you expect, or even the way you sometimes want. But oh, how he loves. In the quietest gestures, the most unexpected moments, the spaces between words where the truth lives. He loves like the earth loves the sky, not by clinging, but by holding space. Not with frantic declarations, but with a presence so steady you almost forget how much you rely on it, until you realize you've been breathing it in all along. And here's the secret you've been waiting for. You don't have to understand his love to be loved by it. You don't have to translate his silence into your language. The bond you share doesn't operate on the rules of ordinary romance. It's written in something far more ancient, far more durable. Like a tree that grows toward the sun without knowing why, your souls are navigating this journey with a wisdom that surpasses logic. So, if today finds you weary, if the distance feels too vast, the silence too heavy, remember this. The divine masculine's love isn't measured in texts or dates or promises. It's measured in the way your life inexplicably softens when he's near, the way the universe conspires to weave your paths together again and again, no matter how far he roams, the way you know, in your quietest moments, that this story isn't over. Not by a long shot. You're not waiting on him, you're growing with him, even when you can't see it, even when it hurts, even when the road ahead looks nothing like you imagined. This love isn't a destination, it's a revelation. And the most breathtaking part, you're already in the middle of it.